Hello, welcome to Simon Motorsports. We're going to talk about back cutting. We have three types of back cut service. We have a race prep, we have a pro cut, and we have a road race cut. One back cut does not do it all. So the race prep we use for air shifter, strictly drag racing, or pro cut we use for street version. And then we have a road race that we've done for road racers that's for upshifting and downshifting. So back cutting is more than just sending the transmission in, back cut, and send it back. I could teach a monkey how to back cut here. It takes 10 minutes. I can show anybody how to back cut, but there's way more to it than just back cutting. We don't just take transmissions apart, clean them, back cut them, ship them back. Now we're going to start with, we're going to repeat myself here because Simon Motorsports YouTube, we've done this in the past, but we're just bringing people up to date, some new things we found. Originally, we talked about the Harley Trap Door, which is a cast, a lot of flex, very little strength. And then Simon Motorsports Billet 6061, state of the art. You can't get a better one. It's in the world's fastest and quickest bagger, first 7 second in the world. So now, that's our billet. So now we're going to get into the back cut service, and then we'll get into the shift drums and what makes the difference in the service. So the back cut service, like I said, the race prep, we do a special proprietary cut on the dogs. It's very, very proprietary. I'm not going to share it right now with anybody. And then we have what's called, this is your typical street cut here that you see. And we're going to get in, this is what it looks like stock. And you see the little ramps cut. And I'll explain to you why this gear is broke. There's a pretty simple explanation here. So the billet trap door strengthens holding the shafts together, tightens up the center lines. That's a given. Then we're going to get into here the billet shift drums. And I've had people say, this is a factory Harley. It's a cast. It flexes. Their casting is moved all over the place. And if you look, I can't show you on the camera, but if you look close, some of the Harley shift drums, there's a little point here, and this round shift fork goes in here and holds it in gear. Well, when this flexes, it allows this shift fork to move one way or the other a little bit. Our shift drum, we have taken and widened that area, and then we did some proprietary things, and I'll get into that in a minute, but that's what holds it in gear. And so what happens on a stock back cut, a typical back cut that most people do, they back cut it, they use the stock shift drum, and then this is what's called a dog ring. And the dog ring goes in here, like this here, and engages it in gear. And as this model here shows you, when it goes in gear, right here, the factory drum goes roughly 40 to 50%. That's the factory drum. Our drum goes 100%. And it's billet, it doesn't move. So what happens with the stock drum, it allows this shift fork here, as you can see, this is out of a customer's bike, by the way. And you can see it's all blued up here. So this was like this here. And it's been jumping in and out of gear. This is, we didn't do this. This is someone else's back cut, and it came back to us. So it's going in halfway, jumping in and out of gear, and that's what knocks the teeth off. It's not that you have too much power. You'll feel the bike going down the road and start skipping. A little skip, very minute. And that's what's happening. This is jumping in and out of gear. So some of them only go in that far. And they jump out, and then they go around, they go in, and it's just a dead clunk, and then knocks the teeth off. So this is someone else's back cut. This is what happens. And then also on the shift forks, we found some really trick little things that we do. Now here again, I'm not going to share it with you. I'm not trying to be a smarty pants. It's just that I could get into a 4 or 5 hour. You don't do this, learn all this stuff. And we've been doing it 33 years. So you don't learn it in a couple of years. So what we do is we hone these. We have a hone back there in the honing machine. We hone these so there's good clearance zone. Here's one here is not honed. You can see it doesn't want to move. There it goes there. Yeah. Right there's a sticky spot. There. So it's very important that you hone your shift forks. We polish the shift rails. We do a lot of extra work. So now, people, we have what's called a neutral down, and we have a standard shift pattern. You have to excuse me. I'm getting old. So this is what's called a standard shift pattern here. This is your neutral. That's first gear here, neutral. You know, that's first gear, neutral, and then second gear. On the Harley, it's the same. That's a standard shift pattern. What I mean by standard is 1 down, 5 up. So he goes, you're putting in first gear, the traffic light, whatever, you take off. It has to go through the neutral gate, stop, change direction, come back around, and then in first gear. So your 1-2 shift, which is this dog ring here for 1-2 shift, which is right here. This is your 1-2 shift. So that's real critical. And there's a special shift cut that we do for the pro and the race prep on this. Very important. 1-2 shift. That's why in drag racing, a lot of guys will use what's called a 1-2 automatic because 1-2 shift is critical. In drag racing, you want to carry first gear out to 68 to 7,200 and then click the second. The higher the RPM, the better it's going to go in. The quicker and easier it's going to go into gear. So the shift drum, and I've had people say, well, what's the difference? You know, this one does the same thing. Well, it does the same thing. It changes gears, but it doesn't put it in properly. Then also what we've done with a shift drum, you know, that's a standard shift, right? This is called neutral down. And I guess I'll jump around a little bit, but what we've done is when it comes out of neutral, it goes into first gear, we've changed this ramp angle. So it throws it in it throws it in. It doesn't guide it in. So this is neutral down. So you're in neutral. When you click it up first gear, you're sitting there. When you take off, this ramp slams it into second gear. There's no gate where Harley's goes from first through your gate, changes direction, and then go over to first gear, second gear. So here, when you're in neutral, you click it, goes into first gear, you take off, goes right to second. No neutral gate. Now, so back again, say, well, this does the same thing. No, it doesn't. That'd be like me saying, well, why are you going to do a chain drive when you have a belt? The chain does the same thing, but the chain's stronger. Common sense. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have it, but I'm here to tell you, this makes a difference. Like a chain and a belt drive makes a difference. Billet opposed to cast makes a difference. That's why we use sometimes billet or a cast head opposed to a stock Harley cylinder head cases. So nobody can say stock is just as good as billet. 3 times the weight. This is a 2-piece. This is a 1-piece. So now let's get back to shift drums. And this is pretty critical. We've had guys say, well, I want a neutral down. I want a standard shift pattern. Neutral down has the benefit of several things. One, we have them, oh, by the way, we have these in police bikes. Police bikes are going in traffic and clutches are getting hot and they can't find neutral. They're at the traffic light, they can't find neutral. You know, everybody's had a Harley. If the clutch gets hot, you can't find neutral sometimes. So the police guys are just clicking it down, it's in neutral. 30 miles an hour, they say, man, it's great. We just click it down, let the clutch out, we pull over, put the kickstand down, and away we go. Now, there's a downside to neutral down. It's great for drag racing. It's great for a trike. We have some people that are older that are having trouble finding neutral. They love it. They kick it down. But now, back to the double-edged sword. Neutral down's not for everybody. Not everybody needs it. It's great for drag racing. You don't find a false neutral. You can't start in second gear and all that nonsense. But if you have multiple bikes where you have an FLH bagger sitting there and you put a neutral down and you have a soft tail, which has standard shift pattern, you accidentally get on the soft tail, you kick it down first gear, you think it's a neutral, let the clutch out. So I tell people, if you have multiple bikes, I don't recommend neutral down for safety reasons. But we have a lot of people that have gotten used to the neutral down and they love it. They'll never go back. So people say, well, why do I need a neutral down? You don't need a neutral down. It's preference. You know, some people like a red bike. Some people like a black bike. Some people like skinny tires, big tires. Some people like Pro Chargers, turbos, nitros. But the bottom line is the shift drum with neutral down's not for everybody. So the neutral down gives you a quicker shift, a more positive shift. Now, once you get out of neutral in the second, the rest of the drum is identical. There's nothing different. It engages all the dog rings 100% over here. So instead of putting in 50% and jumping in and out of gear and turning blue, again, remember, folks, this is Harley-Davidson. This is not me. This is something that came in through the door, and we see it all the time. So if you send me a transmission, I don't want to rebuild it and then send it out knowing that you're going to have a problem. And by the way, we stock brand new transmissions. I stock every part for a Harley transmission. You name it, I stock it. Then once the transmission is put together, we have a dummy case that I cut a bunch of windows in it. Every transmission that leaves here gets tested. Not one goes out like this. Never. Everyone gets in, gets shifted, and checked. We checked some things on the shift works that we found. Harley has a problem with their dimensions on their 3/4 shift fork. Again, I'm not going to get in the middle of that, but we found what's wrong and we fixed it. So again, I can teach a monkey how to back cut a transmission, and that's what you're seeing here. It wasn't done right because the shift fork, the shift drum, sloppiness. We tried shimming them. That doesn't make a difference. And you have to engage the dog ring 100%, or you're not fixing the problem. So we want to fix the problem, and we did. We're the only ones that have done it. So now, if you want a neutral down, that's fine, but I do caution you, if you have multiple bikes, you got to really remember neutral down, neutral down. You get on a bike, you click it down first gear, let the clutch go, you can get hurt somebody. So our standard shift pattern works just as good as that, other than the 1-2 shift. It's not as fast because you're going through a neutral. It's called a neutral gate. So that's about it on the pretty simple, but we do have 3 different cuts: race cut, pro cut, and road racing cut. And one cut doesn't do it all. So don't think it does. So yeah, we do 3 different cuts. We do a lot for companies around, the Harley dealers and whatnot, and they've all everything's been a positive feedback. So again, nobody's perfect, but we're trying to, at my age, I'm 71 now, I want to give back to the Harley industry as much as I can. And keep in mind, you go to Simon Motorsports YouTube, we have other videos of clutch stacking and how to disassemble a transmission. Again, a little bit of this was in it, but keep in mind, we're doing 2 more, my son and I, he's doing the video now. We're doing 2 more videos, and you're really going to like it. It's really trick. It's based for the racer, some of the pros and amateurs. But believe me, what I'm going to show you, it's going to blow your mind. So we're going to do it tonight, but got tired, so I got to do it later. Well, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.